This is a solution for Jacob's Chapter 3, Objective Question 10, which is assigned for homework. We're doing a reassignment here that will be due Wednesday, the 12th of October. Submit your answers only on eClass. We're not going to use Connect for this. We already used Connect. So I'm going to create a section for next Wednesday, October 12th, and there'll be an assignment there. And the idea is to use the file that I've already posted and adapt the solution that exists in that file. It looks something like this file here, but I've actually grown this file in the previous videos that I've just made and posted on YouTube and sent you emails. And so the solution looks something like this. Just a quick note, you can delete any of these things down here. Just don't pay attention to any of these. Don't get distracted by any of these items. They're there just as notes for help there. It's not part of the solution. Actually, you can take a look at them, and they should be some help to you to remind you how things may work. Okay. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to review very quickly the steps it takes to solve a base case problem like we have here. So here I've reproduced objective question 10. It has to do with tough wheels. They're producing these things. They give us some initial state information here, a starting state, as far as some of the information that we're going to have to put into a spreadsheet, calculate future cash flows for each of the future periods here. I reproduced the question here. Tough Wheels has provided the project plan below, and then there's three parts to the answer here. Just a real quick note here is the first question: what are the yearly cash flows and their present value? We've done this before, and you should be able to figure out how to use it from the solution for the example problem out of Jacob's Chapter 3. B, what is the impact on NPV for the kitty dozer? This is a sensitivity analysis question, which just means that if you create a nice spreadsheet for this, you can very quickly push a different number in there for sales and calculate your net present value. It'll automatically readjust if you do your spreadsheet right. So there's a little bit of a challenge here to get your Excel spreadsheet correct and get the functions all correct. And the third part of the question is, what is the effect caused by changing the discount rate to 9, 10, or 11%? And they imply here that that is at the level of 60,000 units per year. Okay, because the previous question talked to you about moving the production and sales around, move the numbers around and see what happens. Well, before you go on to C, return it to 60,000 before you calculate this. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to drop in the header information here. This is just a screen grab. It's just an image file that I have in here. So you have to translate this information, put it into a table here. So I had created it before. I just dropped it in here to show. And this is live data. Okay, so this is the live data here. Okay, so the first section of our solution, which I've explained before, I grab this over here. We're going to grab one of these boxes. Okay. So as I described in the video, there's 6 different areas that you need to set up. So the first one is the initial conditions. We're going to set up the initial conditions here. This is, as I said, all live data. And I put the numeric values down in this column, and then I put the units over here so that these remain as live data. Okay. So the next section is going to look something like this. You want to take a look at the schedule, and you're going to want to create that as area B. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is identify the major phases of the project. You can detect that from the initial conditions here. There's a development cost. There's an estimated development time. Okay, so we're told this is a little different than the example that we've used. There's a new cost element here, and that's pilot testing. And it says that it costs us $200,000. There's the ramp-up costs we're familiar with that follows that. There's marketing and support costs, sales and production volume, and you're going to have to calculate the cost at the volume that they give us. Here's the unit manufacturing cost is $100, and the unit price when we go out and sell these is $170. And for this problem, we're using 8% to calculate it. So we're going to graphically create the next section. This is going to be the area B, or the second section. If you watch the video, I talk about the different sections here. And what you'll do is you're going to label the major phases that we have here. Okay, so the devel phase, and you're going to put in your Y1. You're going to set up the calendar here. Y1, you're going to have a quarter one. I think we're working in quarters again. Okay, go ahead. Use your Excel skills. Okay, set up your Y2, etc. You're going to create that across the page. And then for each of these phases, you're going to use just a block fill of cells here. Okay, it tells us already that the estimated development time is 9 months in this case, not 12 months or 3 periods. Okay, so they're forcing us to calculate how many periods that is. And there's 3 months in each period, so that's 3 periods. Okay, so just to get you started, of course, you grab your cells and then you flood it with some color. They use red. That's great. There, we flooded the first 4 colors, first 3 columns with red, and that shows the development phase there. The next part would be the pilot testing. You have to dig into the question here and see when it starts and when it finishes. All right, and just finish out area B. Okay. Now, when we get down to area C, or the third area down below here, this is where our budget or financial analysis will take place. We're going to analyze the finances here, and what you can do is just grab your schedule here. You can grab that schedule and you can just copy it right down, right below it. See, you use all your Excel skills here. And what are we going to be doing down here? This is the financial analysis, right? The financial analysis part. We're going to put in our expenses. You're going to put in your expenses here, starting with the first one you incur, which will probably be the development phase, just like the other problem. And you're going to enter each of your costs in here, and then you're going to put your revenue in down here. Okay. All right. The fourth area will be your period cash flow line. It's just simply one line. I'll try to make this match here to imply that you're really going to have one line, and that just means you're going to add up the relevant numbers from the column and total each one of these out. So these are the period cash flows, future cash flow. Okay. And then what you can do is you can run a total. The simple total, you can take a look at in unadjusted dollars, what is the sum of all your cash flows, where you're going to add up all the cells that have the cash flows in there. Okay. You just want to check that. That's our starting point. That's some relation to or indicates something about the value of this project. Okay. But then we're going to make our adjustment. So the fifth area that you need to do will be your net cash flows for each period. So for each period, you're going to adjust it in the way that we did for the sample problem. So each one of these numbers, you're going to make your adjustment to it and drop it down into this line. So this is going to equal whatever the contents of this is, and you're going to perform some kind of function in this here. Okay. This is your financial function to calculate a discounted cash flow for period 1, and then period 2, and then period 3, and that's what all the discussion in the classroom has been. The second video I just posted last night, it basically replicates exactly the explanation that I gave in the classroom. It's very close. It actually takes about the same amount of time. Okay, so now once you do your net cash flow, I guess we'd call the next area. Okay, it's not going to like that. I have to delete that out, right? Okay. I just have to get rid of an error. It was just an error. I was typing in there. It didn't make any sense. It was trying to interpret it as a function. Okay, and then what you do there is add your other total up at the end here. The same way that you added your simple and adjusted total, now you're going to add your adjusted cash flows over here. Like I'll pick this cell here is fine. You could also put it down here because you could put it in there as your net cash flow here. Okay, and what you're going to do is add up again all these lines, all your periods here, and add those together, and you're going to come up with your net cash flow, because now it's the summation of all these. and you're going to compare that number to the unadjusted number. And you have to talk about this a little bit. Which one is more, which one's greater, which one's less, okay? And so if we called that the fifth area, up to the fifth area, then I would actually call the sixth area, sixth function, use the Excel file here, the Excel function rather. So you can use the Excel function for NPV. Okay, and I went over that in class. I go over it in the video on how to use that. There's a little bit of an adjustment here, and it has to do with the fact that when we describe our problem, the way that it's described is the first expenses, the first activity we have takes place at time equals 0, all right? So we're going to make a payment. We're going to spend some money here, some expenditure that we're going to have for development costs, and they occur at the first day of a period, okay? So if we write a bunch of checks on day 0, the 0th term, the first quarter, has no time value associated with it with regards to an interest rate or inflation rate or any other kind of rate that we're comparing our project to, okay? It's also called a discount rate. It's also called a hurdle rate. It's the hurdle rate. We have to make more than what we can in a very simple risk-free deposit account.